Yeah, let's talk about this. MJF cutting that promo on CM Punk where he gives this babyface promo where you're thinking, yeah, he could work as a face. MJF, the rich, pompous a-hole who you royally hate with a passion, he could work as a face. He really could. It has been a fascinating promo when I look at it. I was dissecting it. I was doing my studies with it. I was trying to get in the ins and outs about all this. And I go and wonder, how does a promo like this work with MJF? It's much like how I said a few years back when I talked about Jay Whitehall and on my old Neo Reality Entertainment channel where I said, could he work as a face? I said he definitely could. I definitely think MJF could also work as a face. And watching this promo was interesting because now you get this added character layer to this guy, and you're left with more questions about the MJF character than you were heading into it. Like, you felt like you've known this guy for several years now, since All In, and you have it all laid out. He's an arrogant or snobby, one percenter, overly indulgent, overly prophetic person who believes he's all that, he's the hype, he believes he's right and everyone else is wrong for it, and anyone who so much as tell him otherwise is the idiot here. But then you get this promo and you're left questioning just how much is that MJF and how much is that Max, the guy behind the character, when the lines blur. And one of the things that always fascinated me when it comes to these types of characters is how much is it the character or how much is it the person behind the character. It's noticeable when you mix both elements, because MJF is this snobby, arrogant person. Maxwell, the guy behind the character, is a person who was bullied, anti-Semitic people treated him wrong, they mocked him, they insulted him. No matter how hard he did, no matter how hard he tried as a young lad, he was always seen as the Jew boy. Because, of course. And you are essentially now being given what is basically the origin story of Maxwell. This is like DC Comics' Secret Files and Origin. So, several people I follow on Twitter gave their analysis on this thing. Gareth, who also owns a YouTube channel, Eno Wrestling, if I butcher that, I am terribly sorry, Gareth, where he wanted to write a thread about about what he believes he saw one of the greatest wrestling segments on TV. He saying this: MJF is proving he's so much more than a set of tired heel tropes, and he's actually one of the most compelling and evil characters of wrestling. When CM Punk interrupted an MJF promo 3 months ago, he thought, this is awesome, but it sucks because there's no way they'll be able to drag this out until Revolution, which we now know, yeah, they can. They had the ability to with the right potential. Then he admits that, yeah, he was wrong about that. We've had some great moments. I won't speak too much on the feud because you've all watched it, but just wanted to point out basically every segment or match has taken the story in a new direction, often an unexpected one, without feeling like a huge twist. It all led to this promo after MJF walked out silent last week. What would he say? Because when CM Punk challenged him to a dog collar match and saying how, will you be my Valentine? Which, definitely doesn't make you think that CM Punk is into frisky stuff. I'm now concerned for AJ Lee. MJF cut this promo where he now justifies his actions in his mind where he pours his heart out and laying out the origin. And then he says, but he knew being MJF they laid it on thick and he risked garnering sympathy. He pulls us back into the character, reminds us who he is. He brings it back to his current motive, relaying everything he says to why he wants to beat Punk again. And then he also says, last week we were left wondering what will MJF say next week. This week we're left wondering what will CM Punk say next week. And next week I presume MJF truly reminds us who exactly he is in order to sell that dog collar match. And then he finishes off by saying, but this promo doesn't simply serve as a one-week swerve to keep these ticking over. It's a compelling insight into the history of MJF as a character on screen and as a person outside the ring. It was a magnificent story, wonderful moment. And then someone from Michael Sims of Earth2.net, I don't know much about that, but decided to also give his insight what MJF's character really is. Saying, what's amazing in a deeply tragic way is that we now know exactly why Max has to be MJF. MJF is the shield he's erected to protect young Maxwell from the wounds he suffered at the hands of anti-Semitic bullies he thought were his friends. And now this recontextualizes his history with Wardlow, why he treats Wardlow like so much crap, so much disdain and hatred, even though Wardlow works for him and he pays him, because Wardlow is a reminder of his past. Despite the benefit Wardlow has brought to him, MJF, Max, doesn't like him because he's a living triggering PTSD reminder of the jock bullies, which is all he sees in him, a big meat-headed jock who was anti-Semitic and asshole-ish. So he personally contracted Wardlow just to control, belittle, and dismiss as the only way he can get some form of payback on those who wrecked his life. All these years later, MJF can't have friends because Maxwell was betrayed, and until MJF can learn to heal the young Maxwell's wounds, MJF will always be who he is, the wall around Maxwell Jacob Friedman's heart. That's what Earth2 said at the end of his thread, and Gareth actually believes that this actually complements the story he got out of it, where he even says, this person has made a great extension on my thread, check it out. And yeah, when you add all those elements to the MJF character, and now you add this recontextualization of all the horrible things MJF did, I'm reminded this is like a comic book, where, and this might piss someone off if they're that offended by my assessment here. MJF is Batman. Maxwell is Bruce Wayne, someone who went through a tragic moment in life, except this time parents don't die. But the way Maxwell copes with his problem is through violence, through belittlement, through destruction, through hating on people and using people just like him just to get what he wants because he feels paranoid. Whereas Bruce is able to somewhat move past onto the tragedy he went through and able to build a family of his own, albeit they still keep going on and repeating the cycle, even no matter how many times DC Comics can't let this go. Oh my god, will they stop? Okay, I'm getting off track here. But that's the idea. Batman is someone who will eventually make a family. Other people who operate like him and other people who he has befriended in the Justice League. He has the Bat Family, he has the Justice League, he has Superman, the world's finest group. He has all of that. Maxwell is different. I'm like, look at the character alone. MJF, his parents hate him because they don't like how he's turned out. MJF is quite literally someone who chose to cut himself off from attachments, chose to cut himself off from love, chose to cut himself off from ever opening the wounds in his heart, and he's become the antithesis of what Batman what you could say from what the trailers alone from the Batman movie has been showing, how he's hard to trust people, and even seems to dismiss Alfred on several occasions, and even says, all these years you lied to me, Alfred. And even though Alfred's trying to convince him that if you keep going down this path, you're not going to have anything left, even with Bruce saying, what else do I have to lose? I'm like, you could lose the last legacy of your family, your money, your business. Yeah, you can lose a lot of things. The last living legacy of your family name. So, yeah, it is this interesting, compelling dichotomy they give MJF. It's this fascinating and tragic character storyline that they've incorporated real life stuff. And remember how people were pointing out how he talked about this wrestling classic on Instagram and saying that he saw Bryan Danielson and CM Punk shake hands, and turns out MJF's Facebook account, which is still around, actually showcases that's actually true. The match he's talking about is Over the Limit between Bryan Danielson and CM Punk back in WWE. And it kind of gives you this vibe that despite CM Punk, doing what he felt was best for himself, he did seem to take into account how many people he would be hurting in the process, which now makes CM Punk look more like an asshole than anyone else could probably say. And CM Punk now can think to himself, now CM Punk has that for a week now, heading into Dynamite tonight, has to say to himself, am I the baddie? Or, turns out I'm the asshole here, because he's only contributed to the dark origin story that is MJF. It's pretty fascinating when you go that route, and to be quite honest, this seals my feelings that yes, he can work as a face. If you could have MJF become a face, now he's phenomenal as a heel, but could he be better as a face is the question we need to know now. I think he could. I definitely think he could be a better face than he is a heel currently, and he's one of the best heels going. He's a reimagining of all the trier tropes you get with a heel. And to be quite honest, I kind of hope they don't pull a swerve where MJF goes back to revealing he's a lying, cheating son of a bitch. And instead, you let him keep that angle with him, where he's now able to open up a little bit more, but he still seems to be hesitant to rebond with people. And I'm pretty certain that if Samoa Joe shows up, we get another layer to the addedness to the overall three-dimensional layer that we get at MJF, especially when you get that past moment referenced again, where Samoa Joe shoved Maxwell into the locker, and MJF will probably call him out, say he's just a big bully, just like the people that's messed with him in his life. So that could be an interesting route they could take. Yeah. And even the commentators were like, is this real? And then CM Punk comes out and asks the simple question, was that real? Is it true? And this is the part where I'm going to just say it. I can't tell. This is the part that makes me so fascinated. Is CM Punk asking him, is it real? Is it true? Was that real? Or was it Phil Brooks asking him, was that real? Was that true? As if CM Punk, like, he's all skeptical and whatnot about, was that real? Is it true? Or is it Phil Brooks thinking like, did me leaving really hurt you like that? Did me leaving the business because I couldn't take it anymore really affected you that much? And to be told that basically he's the living embodiment of don't meet your heroes, kid, because how CM Punk treats meeting Maxwell as a young kid as a Friday, whereas MJF said that was the most important moment in my life. So when you have your hero telling you you don't matter, you're basically a Friday to me, and there's this guy who grew up watching you telling you don't matter to me, it's like, well, your heroes suck, kid. Don't meet your heroes. Yeah. So yeah, fascinating tale here. We got a recontextualized MJF, we got a recontextualized CM Punk, and even recontextualizing his WWE run a little bit more, and recontextualizing his time during the independent days. So it is a fascinating route they could go with here. I'm hoping they keep this new route going for the next couple of months even, and up to MJF's winning of the World Championship, since I'm still certain he's going to win that, heading into either Double or Nothing or even Full Gear, or All Out. They could try and make it to All Out even, but yeah, it is going to be a fascinating tale to see heading into tonight. I am going to be watching when I get off of work, but yeah, this story just got a whole lot recontextualized, and I'm fascinated to see where this goes. Well, this was Neo Reality Entertainment, the WrestleVerse, presenting MJF's Babyface promo moment. If you like, comment, subscribe, check out my other content in the description below. Stay tuned for more. And just remember, I'm better than you! And you know it.